We're going to be talking about discussing the difference between the sales professional and the sales amateur. You know, it's an interesting paradox. The more I thought about this, the difference between the amateur and the professional is vast, but it's also distinguished by a very fine line, and we're going to explore that today. The differences are subtle, especially on the surface, but when you take a deep dive and really peel the onion back, you're going to see that the differences are very vast. You know, the professional is the one that leads, paces, continues each interaction with enthusiasm. Professional knows what the next steps are after each meeting. They get their next step agreements. The professional is always maintaining a healthy identity. The amateur, on the other hand, they're the ones that look cool on the surface, but when you peel that onion back, it's filled with self-limiting beliefs. The amateur constantly yields to resistance, and the amateur gets sucked into the customer system, what I affectionately call their defense mechanism of lie, steal, lie, hide. They fail to control the process. Interestingly, as with so much that we do in life and all the different roles we portray, at the heart of this is identity role. A healthy identity isn't afraid of failure, but the amateur, as we're about to find out, is afraid of failure. It's our fear of failure that causes us to yield to resistance. Resistance to control, lead, and pace every interaction with every client. Resisting to ask direct questions, to finding pain, to making the sale more emotional. Resisting to talk budget. Resisting setting next steps and leaving the appointment without knowing what's happening next. Resisting dealing with objections. Resisting getting out of our comfort zone, and most importantly, resisting being the best version of ourselves. You know, one of the things that I always remember, and David Sandler talked about this a lot when he talked about identity and role, and it always sat with me that there is a difference between who you are, so what your identity is, who you are as a unique person, and what you are, what your roles are. And from a young age, from mentors, teachers, coaches, parents, we're taught at a very young age and throughout our life to associate our success as human beings with our success in roles. And if we fail in our roles, then we've failed as a person with intrinsic worth. We're taught that, and it's ingrained into us. And this was a big problem for me early in my career, and it's something I've worked hard to really overcome. And as we go through this call, one thing I want you to remember is that failure is a part of continuing to get better. It's that relentless, as Lexus always says, it's that relentless pursuit of perfection. But there's going to be failures along the way. You're not going to be perfect anytime you take on a new role or start to adapt new strategies. But when those failures come, know that it's going to lead to better results. It's going to make you the best version of yourself. And those failures are simply a failure of technique, strategy, word track. They're role failures. It's not a failure of you. Fail forward.
So the concept of this call really started with this book called The War of Art. That's right, it's not backwards. It is The War of Art. And it's about resistance. People who have spoken with me at length the last year know I've been sort of I've been enthralled by this concept of becoming the best version of yourself. And this book is about resistance. This whole book is about resistance, which our author, Stephen Pressfield, calls the most toxic force on the planet. It will bury you. This book is not about sales, actually. We have applied it because it applies so well. So we have taken some license to make it apply to salespeople. Resistance is the enemy from within. It reasons with you like a lawyer all day long. Not to do something you know you should do, whether it's talking money or it's next step agreement or it's prospecting or whatever it is. It reasons with you. It's not seen, it's not heard, but it's felt. Its aim is to distract you from doing your work. It's why you quit working out It's why you quit dieting. It's why you quit getting involved in things you know you should. It stops you from becoming the best version of yourself. It's fear. It's not going outside your comfort zone. The first step is to identify it as something other than yourself, okay? Identify resistance in your life and take pride in beating it. It thrives off of inaction. It can't live where there is no action because it has no strength of its own. The bully, we call resistance, will back down when stood up to. But you must turn pro. Amateurs wimp out every time. So what does turning pro from amateur look like for a sales professional? Well, listen as Jimmy and I dissect the amateur versus pro in this little skit that we've done. As we do this, make a list of areas where you're turning pro and maybe areas where you're still an amateur.
Of course.
Scene one. Oh boy.
Of course, Brian and I are still debating who the amateur and who the professional is here.
I thought I'd let Jimmy be the amateur. No, I thought.
Thank you.
I thought I'd let Jimmy be the pro because he plays amateur all day long. So I'd give him an opportunity. So, in all seriousness, I play for fun, right? Sales are fun. I get to meet a lot of people. Goals are good, and they give me something to shoot for. I try and hit them. Sometimes I do, and well, sometimes I don't.
That sounds great, Brian. But I got to be honest with you. I play for keeps. Without question, Jimmy Falk always hits my goals. I change my behavior if I'm in jeopardy of not hitting goals. It's not an option not to hit my goals.
You know, when it was Friday, March 30th, I was $10,000 away from my March goal. And, you know, I said, I'll get it next month. I know I'll get it next month.
Sounds like you're hoping, and we know that hope's not a strategy, Brian. I'm full-time. It's Saturday, March 31st, 9 a.m. I'm still closing. I'll close the $10,000 gap today, and then some.
You are tough to keep up with, but that's okay, because I got dozens and dozens of open leads, right? They're on my desk, some are in folders, some are in my car. There's hope in those leads, Jimmy. When those leads come through, I'm going to catch you. Some of them are going to close.
Sounds like you have what we call an X-file on your desk, Brian. Wonder how many of those are no's, but you keep feeling comfortable about those maybes.
They're still there.
I can't live like that personally. I'm on a mission. I don't tolerate disorder and uncertainty. Every open lead is in pipeline deals and has a next step. From my experience, half of them or more are going to close.
I'm starting to sweat. Well, you know, that's all good because, of course, I can sell. My bond and rapport is exceptional. People will really, really like me, and that's gonna help. I'm gonna sell all day long.
Exceptional might be a bit strong, but I'll give you got some bond and rapport in you. My work's a craft. I know that overthinking situations paralyze me. It's all about technique. I master the how. I master the craft and leave the what to the gods.
Now we got God involved. You know, I'll prospect. I just need to get over my fear of prospecting, and then I can do it. I'm busy. I can't do it now.
There's no such thing as a fearless warrior. I may be terrified at times, but my force of will carries me forward. Fate whispers to the warrior, you can't withstand the storm. The warrior whispers back to fate, my friend, I am the storm.
Oof. This is getting tougher. I may be fired by the time this call is done.
I'm getting goosebumps. I don't know about you.
You know, no. Every no I get, it's like a belly punch. I hate no. I can have 4 yeses and 1 no, and it just impacts my day. I do start to lose confidence as I approach my next appointment.
Boy, Brian, I feel you. I was there once. But I've learned that I learn from every no. I move on from a no in 5 minutes. A no is just a number getting me closer to my goals. I know my cookbook numbers and know that part of those are no's. I usually get 4 no's out of 10. You know my favorite saying, SW, SW, SWN. Some will, some won't. So what? Next. Move on.
I got to get there. I'm going to get there. It just takes time, Jimmy. But, you know, I'm comfortable. It's hard to get outside. I yield to this thing. I read in this book once called The War of Art. It's resistance. I seem to talk myself out of uncomfortable situations like follow-up calls or talking money or prospecting. Talking money, I figure I could just send them the bid. I don't have to talk about money, right?
Brian, I got to be honest with you. I don't yield to resistance. I crush it. I see it and I feel it. I move past it. Resistance loves inaction, and I act. I get and roll. All the world is a stage, my friend.
That you do, my friend. That you do. You know, hard thing, you know, it's mid-April. I don't have enough time. Nevertheless, get my leads out done, but prospect. I typically do what comes to mind next. Time is tough.
Well, I plan my time in my calendar, then work my plan. I know the behaviors necessary to meet my goals, and I prioritize well.
But you're just perfect, aren't you?
I'm a 10+.
You are just perfect.
I'm a legend in my own mind.
Yeah, but you know, I don't want to risk upsetting a prospect. Like, I'm careful what I ask, because if I mess up, if I ask the wrong thing, then I lose rapport, and then I'm done. So I'm careful, very careful.
I guess you don't ask for the sale neither.
Well, if they want it, they'll let me know, won't they?
Yeah, I'm reminded of Zig Ziglar's famous quote, timid salespeople have skinny kids. Well, I don't know if you've seen my kids, but they are far from skinny, my friend.
I've seen you.
Well, yeah. Frankly, Brian, I get in close asking direct questions. I take pride in it. And I bring my prospects through the closing funnel.
Closing funnel. I
want
saw
my
that one day at a summit seminar, closing funnel. I guess I need to get that back out again. But I do avoid talking money. I do. I got to tell you. I give them a proposal. I don't want to lose the deal too soon. Why? I mean, why not just let it wait so I still have a shot down the road?
It sounds like you enjoy the customer's defense mechanism of lie, steal, lie, hide. I have to wonder how many of those X-files of those clients are actually hiding from you and how many are no's. I get the in the ways out of the way, frankly. I discuss money as soon as I find out their pain. I turn it into value.
I got to try that.
Someday. I wouldn't worry about it today. It's almost the weekend.
Finally, you know, this whole prospecting system, I know a lot of people. I'm super friendly. So work will come my way. I mean, why wouldn't they want to buy from me? I mean, this whole prospecting thing, I think, is overtime.
Well, I work a list of contacts in my circle of influence. I'm intentional about keeping in touch with them, and I track all conversations. I have a built-in flywheel that churns out business. A book of business will provide for me because I work it like a pro.
Well, you know, I see to you, Jimmy. I can only hope someday to become the pro that you are.